Let us see the external features of the heart. This is the heart in anatomical position. This is the apex of the heart, and this side is the base of the heart. This is the sternocostal surface. This is the diaphragmatic surface. This is the right border. This is the inferior border. And here is the left border. And somewhere here is the superior border. In this heart, this is the right ventricle, and this is the left ventricle. This is the sternocostal surface, and between the right ventricle and left ventricle we have anterior interventricular sulcus, which contains the anterior interventricular artery and the great cardiac vein. This is the great cardiac vein, and this is the anterior interventricular artery. This is the pulmonary trunk starting from the right ventricle, and the pulmonary trunk divides into two branches. This is the left branch of pulmonary trunk, left pulmonary artery, and this is the right branch. This is the right pulmonary artery. This is the ascending aorta. Ascending aorta continues as arch of aorta. This is the arch of aorta. These are the three major branches of arch of aorta. This is the brachiocephalic trunk. This is the left common carotid artery, and this is the left subclavian artery. This is the right coronary artery, taking its origin from the ascending aorta. Here it winds around the right border and goes to the posterior aspect of the heart. Here we have the left coronary artery. This is the left coronary artery. Left coronary artery has a short course, after which it divides into two branches. This is the anterior interventricular artery, and this is the circumflex artery. The anterior interventricular artery runs in the anterior interventricular sulcus along with the great cardiac vein, and the circumflex artery winds around the left margin and goes to the posterior aspect of the heart. The terminal part of circumflex artery is accompanied by the coronary sinus. This is the coronary sinus, which is the continuation of this great cardiac vein. This is the great cardiac vein, and it continues as coronary sinus. Coronary sinus lies just below the left atrium. This is the left atrium, and at the lower border of left atrium we have that coronary sinus. It opens into the smooth part of the right atrium here. This is the diaphragmatic surface of the heart. Here we can see the left ventricle and the right ventricle. Between them, here we have the middle cardiac vein and the posterior interventricular artery. This is the right atrium. This is the right auricle. This is the superior vena cava opening into the right atrium. And here is the inferior vena cava opening into the right atrium. Now we will open the right atrium to see the internal features. This is the rough anterior wall of the right atrium. which has a muscular ridge, thick muscular ridge called crista terminalis. And extending from that, there are parallelly arranged ridges of myocardium called musculi pectinati. These are musculi pectinati. So the anterior wall resembles a comb. These are the teeth of the comb. Then we have the smooth wall behind that. The crista terminalis separates the smooth wall from the rough wall. This is the smooth wall, posterior smooth part, which receives the opening of superior vena cava. This is the superior vena caval opening. Then here is the opening of inferior vena cava. This is the inferior vena caval opening. And we have the opening of coronary sinus here. This is the opening of coronary sinus here. Then we have this big opening. This is called right AV orifice or atrioventricular orifice, guarded by the right AV valve. Through this orifice, right atrium communicates with the right ventricle. This is the septal wall. This area is the septal wall of the right atrium. Here we have two important features. This oval fossa is called fossa ovalis. It's a depression, oval depression. Then above that we have a ridge. This is called limbus fossa ovalis or annulus ovalis. This oval area below that, it is called fossa ovalis. I will open the right ventricle now. I have cut here. So anterior wall of right ventricle is being reflected down. That is the interior of right ventricle. This is the upper part. This is the smooth outflow part. And this is the rough inflow part of the right ventricle. This is rough because of these muscular ridges called trabeculae carneae. Some of them are pillar-like. They are called papillary muscles. This is one of them. This is the anterior papillary muscle. Here we have the posterior papillary muscle. Then extending from the papillary muscle up to the leaflet of the tricuspid valve are the chordae tendinae. These white bands are called chordae tendinae. They connect the papillary muscle with the leaflets of the tricuspid valve. This is the leaflet. Then this is the interventricular septum. This separates the right ventricle from the left ventricle. Extending from the interventricular septum to the base of anterior papillary muscle, we have a ridge of myocardium. This is called moderator band or septomarginal trabecula. Let us see the interior of the left ventricle. This is the left ventricle. When we open it, we will see the rough part here. Even this chamber has a trabeculae carneae. One observable thing is that the walls of this ventricle are 3 times thicker than that of the right ventricle. Very thick walls made up of myocardium. You can see that. Then here, this is the leaflet of the mitral valve or the left atrioventricular valve. These are the chordae tendinae. This is the interventricular septum. I am holding the interventricular septum between the 2 fingers. This side is the left ventricle and this side is the right ventricle. So that partition is the interventricular septum.